Welcome back. My name is Kyle, and today we're going to be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. More specifically, we are going to be talking about Aang. Now, I used to watch this show back in the 2000s, okay? When it first came out, I was watching this on Nickelodeon. But back then, I didn't realize what the message of the story actually was. And throughout the years, I've watched this show countless times, and recently I started seeing clips of it come on my TikTok and my Instagram feed, and I decided to give Avatar: The Last Airbender one more watch. So I sat down and I started watching this show. And what I realized is there was hidden meanings in this show that I didn't even know when I first watched it. Now, for all of you guys that don't know what Avatar: The Last Airbender is, Avatar: The Last Airbender is basically this cartoon show where you have our main character whose name is Aang, and he's basically like this avatar. He can, control all four elements, which is fire, air, water, and earth, right? And throughout this entire show, we learn about one thing, and that is Aang needs to get over his past, right? Aang does something which is completely unforgivable. When he finds out that he is the Avatar, he freaks out, he panics, and then he runs away from his home, which then results in the enemy, which in this case is the Fire Nation, being his tribe, right, which is called the Air Nomads. They wipe out all the Air Nomads. And while you're watching this show, you can understand how Aang feels about ditching his home right before the war happens. He goes through regret. He goes through these triumphums where he starts thinking, what if I had stayed? What would my life be like if I had stayed and fought with his master, whose name is Monk Gyatso? And we get to find out that throughout all this time, Aang learns to deal with his past by confronting it, right? He doesn't run away from it. He doesn't worry about what could have happened. He learns from it. And by the end of the story, he comes to terms with it. And then I started realizing that maybe this show isn't just meant for kids. Maybe this show is actually trying to teach us something more valuable and give a deeper meaning. And that's when I realized our lives are just like Aang's, right? We make mistakes. We do things that we regret. And then we have two choices. The first choice is we think about the bad thing we did, or we think about worrying, whatever about, situation we're worrying about. And we just ourselves in this cycle where we cannot get out of our own head. And while we are trying to avoid whatever bad situation, we come closer to it because we think about, for example, let's just say that you think that you're paranoid and you think that driving is going to kill you. So you do everything to not drive, right? You walk, you ride your bike, you take the bus, but then somehow in some type of fatal accident, you get hit by a car. You still ended up dying by that car, even though you tried to do everything to avoid it. Throughout the last couple months, I've been constantly, this is like my personal experience, been constantly, having like these money issues here and there. And I've just been thinking, whenever I am begging to God or whoever, right? When I'm really like down in the ruts and I'm begging for money to come in by some means, it doesn't come in, right? It just doesn't come. But when I focus on myself and I start, just thinking about what other people would like and how I can help other people, the money seems to be coming. And this is an analogy that my dad gave me, right? The world is round, right? And the more you try to chase money, like here's money, and pretend like there's an earth right here. The more you try to chase money, the more it runs away from you. But if you stand in one place, you work on yourself, eventually that money has nowhere else to go but to meet with you, right? And this analogy I've remembered for many, many years. And yesterday, my dad also gave me another analogy which really stuck with me. That was this cup analogy that he gave me. He's basically sat me down and he said, hey, even though you're having money issues right now, even though, it's hard to pay the bills sometimes, I want you to realize that you should be happy. He's telling me this, right? He's telling me that you should be happy and you should, just do whatever it is that is meant for you or you think is right. And the cup analogy goes like this. Imagine you have a cup, right? Well, he took up the little teacup that he was drinking, and he said, here is a cup, and I want you to think about everything. Think about if you really wanted to make this cup never break, what would you do? Right? And he's like talking about, you're going to start worrying about, oh, this cup is going to break. This cup it might fall. And, this cup is going to crack, right? And he said, no matter how much you worry about this cup breaking, eventually the cup is going to break, right? You might not break it. One of your friends might come in one day and you give him water in this cup and he drops the cup breaks. Or maybe in 100 or 200 years, when we are no longer living in this house, someone else might take that cup and throw in the garbage. Or maybe they're gonna drink some type of tea and it's gonna fall and break. That cup is destined to break. Maybe not by you, but it is destined to break somehow, some way. So there's no point about worrying about, oh, I'm gonna do everything possible to keep this cup intact, right? That's not the mentality that you should have. The mentality that you should have with this cup is, as long as this cup is with me, it will not break. I know for a fact that this cup will break, but as long as it's in my possession, I will not let this cup break. And this goes for everything in life as well. Like I've just started really deep thinking, and I've just realized you have to pick something, right? It can be some type of thing that you're good at or some type of thing that you really value, and you need to say that, hey, as long as I stick to this or as long as I keep this safe, nothing is going to happen to this. Or you could do like the whole motivational thing where you think, hey, this is what I really want to do with my life, and no matter what obstacle comes in my way, I will continue to be on this path. Even if I fail 100 times, that one time I win will cancel everything out. And you never know if you're 10 failures away or 50 failures away or even 100 failures away from getting what you want, right? And then, like I said, this full cup analogy, it kind of correlates to Avatar, because if you've seen the show, you know that there's a very, very funny tea drinker. His name is Uncle Iroh. He's Zuko's uncle, and he's this calm, very zen type of person who always thinks before he speaks. He always, you feel like whenever you watch Uncle Iroh in the show, nothing bad's gonna happen because he's there, right? He's basically that one type of person that, makes you feel really confident, and, nothing bad's gonna happen. And I was thinking, this show has a lot of hidden meanings, right? And as you get older and as you start, having more things of responsibility or things that you really cherish, you start having to improve your life. You have to, you literally have to improve your life, because if you don't, you'll fall back and you'll go into the cycle where you start worrying and you start self-sabotaging yourself. Now, after watching The Last Airbender, I realized what would have happened if Aang just, got depressed or got sad that his whole clan died. What if instead of, chasing to become the Avatar and save the world, he ended up staying on a lone island by himself because of the guilt and the pressure that he faced originally, right? What happens if he never really evolved his life? What happens if he never upgraded his life? Well, he wouldn't have found his dream woman, right? He would probably be the worst Avatar that we've seen. And most importantly, this isn't even about him. He would have let other people get hurt by not stepping up. And when you realize this about your life, you kind of have to put this into your perspective. If you do not go out there, if you do not push yourself, if you don't do the thing that you really, really want to, eventually it is going to hurt you. Don't get me wrong. That is going to hurt you. In the long run, you are also going to hurt the people around you, your friends, your family, your siblings, your grandparents, whoever you look up to, whoever's around you. They will also get hurt by your inaction. So through all of this, I've learned one thing, and that is take action, and more importantly, don't stress too much. Don't put the guilt and the pressure on yourself to the point where you start self-sabotaging and you feel like you are going down this path of, not being able to fix things, because things do get better. They do. but you really have to focus on yourself in order for those things to happen. My name is Kyle the Conqueror. Make sure to like, subscribe, and join the conquest. And if you found this video entertaining whatsoever, or at least motivational, let me know in the comments down below. Peace out.